The ANC's in the Eastern Cape, their elective conference is set to end today if there aren't any further delays. It's been extended after an issue with credentials. Some branches claim the process of selecting a new chairperson is being manipulated. Let's cross live now to Aviwe Mtila, our senior reporter who has been covering the Eastern Cape conference. Aviwe, are we any closer to finding out who the new leadership of the Eastern Cape is?
We've been told by the PTT that at least in 30 minutes' time we can expect the announcement of the top 5 leaders of the African National Congress in the Eastern Cape. Of course, not without the chaos that we saw yesterday in terms of how this conference is being. There are 2 factions. We know the nomination of Babalo Matikizela as well as Babalo Oscar Mabuyane to the chairpersonship of the province. Both factions yesterday basically accusing each other of wanting to collapse the conference. That became basically the outcome of the stalemate that we saw when it came to the adoption of the credentials, which were eventually adopted at around 11 p.m. Of course, and then the nomination went on there, where we saw even Lulama Ngugaitobi accepting the nomination of the Secretary of the Eastern Cape alongside Tembale Tundutu. But I just want to catch up with the NSC deployee convener to this, and that is Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. Thank you for joining us at eNCA Mdomkhulu. But earlier on, I was having a conversation with one Andile Lungisa, who suggested that you are a political chief justice, and talking of how this conference has been manipulated. I want your response to what Lungisa said.
I actually saw that interview and it was amusing. No, what was happening is that one of the biggest debates here, which took so long, was about the court case, because people were interpreting it in such a way as to favor them by excluding branches which they believe are in their opposition from attending the conference. So I was telling them what the ruling means on the 8th of April and the ruling, the recent one, and of course they didn't like it. And that's why they told me actually in the conference that I'm trying to behave like a judge. I said, no, I didn't write the judgment. The judgment was written by judges, and this is what it says. So just the fact that they didn't like it, and that's why there was that anger that I'm trying to play Chief Justice.
Are you not wary then, given that the credentials were adopted, but are you not wary of court cases that may ensue challenging the outcome of this conference, given that they're saying that there have been processes that have been manipulated?
Well, nothing was manipulated. Part of the reason why we were patient to take so long is to prepare for exactly what you're saying. We are a very litigious society. ANC is also highly litigious, as we have seen. At any slightest provocation, people run to court. So you have got to do things by the book. You have got to follow all the prescripts of the law. You have got to follow everything that must be done. Remember, even the judgment on Kisani conference, Obusano conference, which was successfully interdicted, the judge said, go and do things according to the constitution of ANC, which says what? Follow internal processes. He was talking about what you call Appendix 4, which established the Provincial Dispute Resolution Committee and the National Dispute Resolution Committee, which says before you come to court, go and exhaust all those processes. So we have got to follow every single process in case somebody rushes to litigate. The man you were interviewing, I heard him hinting something like that we might still take further steps. And I suspect that he might be in a court of law. So when that comes, we want to be able to produce evidence that here we've done everything by the book. There was absolutely no manipulation. It is a claim, obviously.
Okay, I just want to wrap up then. I understand it's a financial report that has been tabled now. Where to from here, and how soon can we hear the announcement of the top 5?
Mr. Babalo Matikizela is now giving the Treasury's report. That will be the end of the report. We are hoping by the end or before it ends, the IEC might have finished counting. But I can't tell because I'm not at the electoral, committee. It's Mr. Senzo Mkunu who's in the electoral committee. And so we can hear from him how long, but I won't tell.
Okay. Okay, are there any still outstanding disputes when it comes to the conference here and maybe issues that have been raised?
Well, as far as I know, ANC conferences, there's no chance of ending all the disputes all at the same time. Some will still be dealt with after the conference. You may remember yesterday I told you of a branch where there are 4 delegates, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, opposing each other and all claiming they are legitimate delegates. The National Dispute Resolution Committee said, let's exclude all of them. We'll deal with the matter after the conference. So it's an example that you can't finish all disputes at the same time because some of them need a deep investigation. But the aim of accepting credentials is to say, this is where we are, this is what we left, can the conference go on? And by consensus they said yes, go on, regardless of the fact that some few things here and there will still need to be settled.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Aviwe Mtila, the convener of the NEC deployees. As we understand, Babalo Matikizela, who's contesting for the chairmanship of the ANC in the Eastern Cape, is currently tabling the financial report. We were told earlier on by one of the PTT members, Stella Abraham Tabeni, just about before 11 o'clock, myself, was saying that, in fact, around about 30 minutes time is when we can expect that announcement of the top 5 leaders of the African National Congress, following of course the nominations that we saw around midnight yesterday, and then thereafter there's still the voting that is continuing, and that's the voting for the additional members, at least 30 that will be part of the Provincial Executive Committee. You heard Dr. Aviwe Mtila saying that there are still outstanding disputes. There's no way that you can complete conference of this nature without having disputes, and some of them were alluded to by Andile Lungisa, who suggested that whatever happens is not even expected is not expecting to ascend to that position of treasurer, given that this conference was manipulated. In fact, I want to catch up with one of the provincial trust team members, Stella Abraham Tabeni. Thank you for joining us at eNCA, and I want to touch on that thorny issue that I spoke to one nominee of treasurer, Andile Lungisa, just a bit earlier on, suggesting that from the get-go there were processes that were manipulated in this conference to favor his opposition in terms of the slates. That's Oscar Mabuyane. I just want to get your sense as a member of the PTT here.
Thank you so much. I really don't know what to say to that. As we have been saying for the past months, the last 3 days, and this morning, that there's no manipulation that took place here. But unfortunately, we are not responsible for how people tend to change the realities that they are faced with. If Comrade Andile Lungisa has any information, as we have said, he must bring that information to the fore, and that will be attended by the ANC, just like everything else that has been reported was attended to. That's why we had a smooth sailing when it came to finally adopting the credentials of this conference and the voting process, because we had clarified everything that needed to be clarified. I didn't hear him making comments and complaints to say he can't participate in this process because he thinks it's not well attended.
And indeed, credentials were adopted late into the evening, but are you prepared for any court case that may come about after the conference itself?
Because court cases are things that we cannot avoid. For whatever reason that leads to people going to court, they are allowed to do so. But we are the ANC. We handle our processes internally, but we don't deprive people of their constitutional right. We are convinced that we've done everything in our power within the ANC constitution and the processes that needed to be done towards this conference. That's why we allowed for it to be extended. That's why we allowed for the delays, because we really believe that we have to be patient and listen to everyone and respond. The unfortunate thing is that others may not be happy about their response, and that does not mean we have not attended to your issue.
Okay, and then maybe the processes that are to happen from here. We understand Babalo Matikizela is tabling the financial report. How soon can we expect the top 5 leaders to be announced here?
Well, we are expecting the announcement of the top 5 in 45 minutes. Once that financial report is presented, it's just that we have a delay in terms of the delegates that are coming in, but now he's presenting. And then immediately after that, we are having the announcement of results From there, we're going for the confirmation and nomination of additionals, and we move from there to commissions, whilst we will be in commissions, and then people will be going to vote for additionals, and we would finally have President Ramaphosa at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, the president. But I want to remove you from your PTT hat and take you as a voting delegate. And I understand you were supporting one Oscar Mabuyane. Do you have the numbers? That is Stella Abrahams-Dabeni saying that Oscar Mabuyane, that's of course aside her role as a PTT member here in the province, and one that is the voting delegate. We heard in 45 minutes time, Maseko, is when we'll have the final outcome in terms of who leads the African National Congress in the Eastern Cape, the top 5 leaders there. We heard the nominations, chairmanship, Babalo Matikizela going against one Oscar Mabuyane, who was once a close ally to him, and of course the secretary position, provincial secretary nominations accepted by Lulama Ngukaitobi, as well as Tembale Tuntutu. Also Andile Lungisa, who made these controversial allegations around the manipulation of the conference itself from the beginning, saying that it was something that was pre-planned in order to assist Oscar Mabuyane in regaining the chairmanship, and of course those allegations being disputed here both by the convener of the NEC deployees, Dr. Aaron Mutwaledi, as well as Stella Abrahams-Dabeni, but he himself, Andile Lungisa, accepted the nomination of being treasurer to the province alongside Zolile Williams.
All right, senior reporter Aviwe Mtila in East London for us. Let's leave it